The first half. Long ago, there was an official who believed in Buddhism and was able to recite from memory the first half of the Dharma Flower Sutra. He memorized and understood the first half on sight, but no matter what he did, he couldn't get the second half through his head. He couldn't understand it at all, to say nothing of being able to memorize it. He was a lot like one of my disciples who recently said, "The Suragama mantra has really got me beat. No matter how I study it, I can't remember it." Don't look at the sea and heave a great sigh. Don't think of the mantra like the great sea and assume that you'll never be able to learn it. I will teach you a method. Don't try to learn it by reading it all at once. Do it sentence by sentence, line by line. When you can remember the first line by heart, go on to the next. Unless you remember that one line clearly, don't go on to the next. For example, repeat Namo Satan Tua Su Chia Tua Ye Ye La He Di San Miao San Bu Tua Xie over and over until you can say it with your eyes closed. Then go on to the next line. If you're greedy to learn it all at once, you won't be able to swallow it in one gulp. Just like the guest who wanted to know if he could eat meat and become enlightened. I told him that he could if he could eat a whole cow in a single gulp. He didn't understand what I meant, however, and just said, "I couldn't do it." If you can't, how do you expect to get enlightened eating meat? Which Buddha became enlightened eating meat? Which patriarch became enlightened eating meat? Which bodhisattva became enlightened eating meat? None of them, you say. Then why do you want to be so special and insist on eating meat and getting enlightened? What kind of an enlightenment is that? An enlightenment to carnivorism. The retribution incurred by eating meat is fearsome. If you like to eat the meat of other creatures, eventually they will take delight on eating your flesh. So the guest didn't return tonight. Probably because there's no meat here to eat and he figured he wouldn't get enlightened. Besides, he rigged with wine. Back to learning the Suragama mantra. Don't try to learn it all at once. That's like trying to eat a whole cow at once. Learning the mantra bit by bit. Don't be like the one who gazes at the sea and heaves a big sigh, thinking, "So much water. How could I ever drink it all?" Although the Suragama mantra is very long, if you concentrate on it, you can learn it. So, anyone who wishes to leave home under me must be able to recite it and the Great Compassion mantra. Otherwise, I will not accept them as left-home disciples. If you can memorize the Suragama mantra, I will grant that you have somewhat of a sincere heart. In China, it normally takes 6 months to learn the mantra. During the summer session, one of my disciples went without eating or sleeping in order to focus his attention on learning the mantra. This was an indication of his sincerity. He made his stomach empty so that it could hold the mantra. Really though, I'm joking. You don't have to quit eating to learn the mantra. So, all dharmas are the wonderful Dharma. I have lectured for so many days on the wonderful Dharma, and yet my explanation is nowhere near as broad as that of the great Master Chü who took 90 days to explain the single word wonderful. The state of the wonderful Dharma is beyond deliberation and discrimination. In trying to memorize the Suragama mantra, do not fall into deliberation and discrimination. The more you discriminate, the harder it is to learn it. The more you deliberate, the less you will understand it. Don't think, Why am I unable to learn the mantra? Don't think of anything at all. Just recite it. Recite it as your duty and responsibility. Don't study it with thoughts of discrimination and deliberation. Discrimination takes place in the sixth mind consciousness. Deliberation is done exclusively by the seventh consciousness. In the Suragama Sutra, we read that Ananda had this very problem. Why? Because he concentrated on learning and neglected cultivation of samadhi. If you want to memorize the Suragama mantra, you must get rid of deliberation and discrimination. Do not use your conscious mind to study the Buddha Dharma. Use your true heart, which is just the wonderful Dharma. What is the wonderful Dharma? What you know is the wonderful Dharma. What you do not know is also wonderful Dharma. The wonderful Dharma is just not knowing. But if I don't know the wonderful Dharma, how can I study it? Just study that not knowing. Not knowing what? Not knowing false thinking, not knowing hatred, not knowing stupidity or greed. Learn how not to know. Get rid of greed, hatred, and stupidity. That is wonderful. If you can't part with your greed, hatred, and stupidity, that is the wonderful within the wonderful. If you can renounce them, that is the wonderful within the unwonderful. We were talking about the official who could remember the first half of the Dharma Flower Sutra after he had read it only once, but although he read the second half literally thousands of times, he couldn't remember a word of it. Thinking of this rather wonderful, he finally went to ask the abbot of a nearby monastery, an enlightened master. As a high-ranking official, he received a warm welcome and he asked the abbot, I sincerely believe in the Buddha Dharma. I am especially interested in the Dharma Flower Sutra. However, although I could understand the first half and memorized it after hearing it only once, the second half escapes me entirely. Why is this? Most Venerable Abbot, I beg for your instruction on this point. The abbot, who had use of the 5 eyes and the 6 spiritual penetrations, said, I can tell you why, but you must promise not to get angry because what I am about to tell you is the truth. I am not trying to insult you. The official said, Of course I won't get angry. If you explain the former causes and following effects behind my situation, how could I get angry? The abbot continued, In your past life, you were an ox who plowed the fields in a monastery. Through your toil, you established a great deal of merit for yourself. In that monastery, during the 6th month of every year, the sutras were set in the sun to air so that they would not be eaten by worms. You happened to lumber over and sniff one of the copies of the Lotus Sutra, but you only sniffed the first volume and not the second. Because of the merit you established, you have now become an official. Don't think that officials are always human. Many of them have been horses and cows, sheep and pigs, because you only sniffed the first volume, not the second. You are familiar with the first and not the second. Such is the cause and effect here. Hearing this, the official redoubled his vigor in supporting the Buddha Dharma and the Bodhimanda. Most likely he never became an ox again. That's a wonderful Dharma indeed. All he did was sniff the first volume of the sutra and as a human was able to remember it. Why? I don't know. It's a wonderful Dharma. If you insist on knowing why, you can't pin it down with scientific research. The only way to find out is to single-mindedly concentrate and apply effort to your cultivation. When you have obtained the 5 eyes and the 6 spiritual penetrations, you will understand the reasons, you will understand the wonderful Dharma. The 6 levels of identity with the Buddha. We have been discussing the wonder of the heart Dharma, the wonderful of the living beings Dharma, and the wonder of the Buddha Dharma. Now we shall discuss the wonderful Dharma according to the Tiantai doctrine of the 6 levels of identity with the Buddha. 1. Identity with the Buddha in principle. 2. Nominal identity with the Buddha. 3. Identity with the Buddha in contemplation and practice. 4. Similar identity with the Buddha. 5. Identity with the Buddha through partial certification. 6. Absolute identity with the Buddha. 1. Identity with the Buddha in principle. What is the wonderful Dharma? It cannot be considered with the heart or spoken in words. On the part of the Buddhas, it is not the slightest bit greater. On the part of living beings, it is not the slightest bit smaller. In the part of the Buddhas, it is not pure. On the part of living beings, it is not defiled. On the part of the Buddha, it is not distinguished. On the part of living beings, it is not produced. The basic substance of the wonderful Dharma is neither produced nor destroyed, neither defined nor pure, neither increased or decreased. The wonderful Dharma is inherent within every one of us. No one lacks it. However, we do not know of it. This is called identity with the Buddha in principle. Speaking in terms of the principle, we are Buddhas based on the principle that we all possess the Buddha nature. This is not to say, however, that we are Buddhas right now. In principle, we are identical with the Buddha. You could say that everyone is a Buddha, but only in terms of principle, as we have not specifically realized Buddhahood yet. In principle, then, everyone has the Buddha nature and everyone is a potential Buddha. If they cultivate according to the Buddha Dharma, they can realize Buddhahood. 2. Nominal identity with the Buddha. When we listen to lectures on the Sutras, we gain understanding of the Buddha's doctrines. We understand that the heart itself is the Buddha. The Buddha is just the heart. The Buddha taught the Dharmas for the hearts of living beings. If living beings had no hearts, the Buddha would not have taught the Dharma. To understand that the terms heart and Buddha correspond is called nominal identity with the Buddha. 3. Identity with the Buddha in contemplation and practice. If you merely understand that the heart is the Buddha and the Buddha is the heart, and understand the nominal identity with the Buddha, but do not apply effort at actual cultivation, is useless. You must cultivate. Our self-nature is the Buddha nature, and it is like gold inside a gold mine. Cultivation is like mining the gold. Once the gold is mined out, it must still be smelted and refined until it is pure solid gold. Identity with the Buddha in principle is like the gold hidden in the mine. Nominal identity with the Buddha is like the gold when it has been taken from the mine. If you cultivate and discipline yourself, that is like refining the gold and is called identity with the Buddha in contemplation and practice. You have refined the gold, but you have not yet arrived at perfection. 4. Similar identity with the Buddha. If you cultivate energetically sitting in dhyana meditation, reciting the Buddha's name or reciting sutras, doing so with single-minded concentration, you will reach the level where inwardly the six sense organs no longer exist and outwardly the six sense objects have perished. Inwardly, no body or mind, and outwardly, no world. One is then released from the organs and their objects. At that time, there is no mark of pupil and even less of mark of self. There is no mark of living beings and no marker of a lifespan. There is no thought of the past, no thought of the present, and no thought of the future. The three phases of thought are completely gone, and the four marks are emptied. At that time, you will have obtained a bit of the flavor of the wonderful Dharma. However, you do not yet know its full taste. This is called similar identity with the Buddha. 5. Identity with the Buddha through partial certification. You can't stop here, however. You must continue to cultivate with effort until, as they say, in the dhyana school, you see your original face, see what you are basically like. In the Tiantai school, this is called the attainment of the three truths in a single thought. The three truths are the truth of emptiness, the truth of falseness, and the truth of the middle way. In the practice of the Pure Land, it is described in the Amitabha Sutra as having one heart unconfused. You recite Namo Amitabha Buddha with undeviating single-mindedness until the wind will not blow against you and the rain won't fall on you. A unity is created and the entire universe is all contained within the single thought of Namo Amitabha Buddha. At that time, there are no mountains and there are no rivers, no lands, no buildings, no trees or plants, no self, no others, no living beings, no lifespan. Everything is empty. You recite the Buddha's name until even if you wanted to stop reciting, you couldn't. The recitation is like a waterfall and you can't stop it. This is called one heart unconfused. It is the attainment of the Buddha recitation samadhi. The recitation now becomes automatic. You may think, I want to quit reciting, but inside of you, Namo Amitabha Buddha continues like a flowing water. I will tell you something now. This state is so wonderful that when you hear the sound of people talking, it sounds like they are saying Namo Amitabha Buddha. The blowing wind also whispers Namo Amitabha Buddha. The rushing streams recite Namo Amitabha Buddha. The water flows, the wind blows, proclaiming the Mahayana. Everything becomes the great vehicle Dharma. Would you say this state is wonderful or not? It is extremely wonderful. One heart unconfused. When you arrive at this state, you will see Amitabha Buddha and the pools made of the seven jewels. You will see the lotus flowers of four colors, green colored of green light, yellow colored of yellow light, white colored of white light, red colored of red light. At that time, not only in this world, but in 100 worlds, you can realize Buddhahood. You can go to any world you like and realize Buddhahood there. In the Pure Land Dharma door, this is what is known as one heart unconfused. It is not a matter of having a few strange experiences. People who cultivate often meet up with strange situations. The important thing is not to be attached to them. In the dhyana school, they say, if the Buddha comes, slay the Buddha. If the demon comes, slay the demon. If the Buddha arrives, you should not be affected. Cultivate samadhi power. Don't think how delightful the Buddha has come. The Vajra Sutra says, Everything that has marks is empty and false. And just what do you think you are doing, getting so happy? The Vajra Sutra also says, if you see all marks as no marks, just that is to see the thirst come one. If in the midst of marks you can perceive their emptiness, that is wonderful existence. True emptiness is basically not empty, and wonderful existence is basically not existence. This is wonderful or not? Is this wonderful or not? At that time, you will have reached the level of identity with the Buddha through partial certification, but you have not yet reached the level of ultimate identity.